L'chaim al bracha, everyone. Okay, very special. So, to appreciate the cosmic significance of our meeting here today, um, it's a big schus for me to be part of this. It's a historical moment. The event might seem like a small event, organized by women to be, to make something special on Chanukah. As we say, as we kiss Chanukah goodbye, kind of hold on to it and to squeeze the juice out of Chanukah as much as we can, and try to absorb and utilize the energy. But on truth, we want to activate something. We're here tonight with the intention of activating the power of Moshiach in the world, activating the Geula. And that's exactly where it's at. We realize that being bystanders and standing on the side is not where it's at. We have to take a role and move forward and do what we need to do to make Moshiach a reality in the world, to bring the Geula, and now more than ever. So the significance of tonight, of why tonight is so significant and so important, lies in the meaning of Zeis Chanukah. In general, Chanukah has two miracles to it that is the power that make up the miracle of Chanukah. There's one miracle, mainly the miracle of the menorah, and we light the lamps, and it's commemorating really two miracles. The first miracle is the finding of the oil. There was no oil, so when they found the jug of oil, the jar of oil, that itself, that they found the oil, that was the miracle. And that's the explanation of why we celebrate the first night of Chanukah, because there was a particular energy. There was an investment. The Yavanim, the Greeks, purposely were contaminating the oil. They wanted to disrupt the Avodah in the Beis Hamikdash, and they wanted to create contamination in the Jewish soul. So the fact that we found that jug of oil on the first night, that's what makes the first night of Chanukah the miracle of the first night. Then the rest of the miracle was that jar, that flask of oil that was supposed to last only for a couple of days ended up lasting for 8 days. So we understand the miracle of the oil lasting for 8 days is a miracle, and that's a big miracle because it's unnatural. But why make such a big? The fact that they found the oil, okay, it was hidden. The fact that they found it, why are we calling that a miracle? In other words, let's go a little deeper. The idea of a miracle means that based on the forces that exist in front of you, based on the reality, something ought not to be. Something ought to go one way. And then the result suddenly turns out to be completely different. And you wonder, how did that happen? And that is because you recognize that there is an invisible hand which produced a result which was not supposed to happen. And we know that invisible hand is Hashem. That's the concept of a miracle. A miracle is Geulah Elokus. It's divine revelation. So when it comes to the fact that the oil burnt for 8 days, that's a miracle. But the fact that they found the flask of oil on the first night, why is that so much that it ought not to have happened? And the answer to that is that the Greeks intentionally were contaminating all the oil, and they reached to whatever their hands can get a hold of. In other words, they searched and searched. And therefore, even the hidden oil was also contaminated. What do you think? It was only one flask hidden? They had lots of flasks hidden. So the fact that they found one flask of oil that the Greeks did not reach, that was the big miracle. Which means as what? That it was hidden so deeply that you literally couldn't find it. You couldn't find that oil. So the fact that it was found is something that was not supposed to happen, and that's the miracle of the first day. It's similar, like, sadly, October 7th, there were a lot of Jews that were nebuch and hiding. And the question was, and they were being searched for. They were being searched for by the rescuers, and the Rahman al-Islam, they were being searched for by the evil people, by the terrorists, who was searching for them with more desperation. Not necessarily, we hope that good is stronger than evil, but once we saw the face of such disgusting, despicable evil, we recognized they were really, really looking for everybody to kill everybody. So the fact that that the Greeks were trying very hard to contaminate the oil, and they couldn't find it, and yet we found it. That's not because we were looking better. That's because of a miracle happened. And the reason I'm emphasizing this is because spiritually, let's think deeper. What does that mean? It's not by chance that it was oil that they found. Obviously, that's what they needed. They needed oil to light the menorah. But it wasn't by chance that they found the oil. Oil represents the hidden. That's what oil is. Oil is, on a deeper mystical, spiritual level, oil is, first of all, oil itself is hidden. Where is oil? People, the people are always searching for oil. So oil is either deep under the ground, or in our case, oil that comes from an olive is hidden deep in the olive. You have to crush the olive to get the oil. You have to dig deep in the ground to find the oil fields that make so many countries and places rich from the oil. The oil is very hidden. Spiritually, the oil represents the deepest part of the soul, the inner part of the nefesh of the soul. In general, the soul is hidden. The neshama itself is hidden. When we look at ourselves, when we look around us, we see people. What do we see? We see their bodies. The body is very visible. The soul is, because it's spiritual, it's something that we don't see. Within the soul itself, there's many layers. And one of the highest levels of the neshama is the oir of the neshama, the light of the neshama. The light is generally associated with intelligence, wisdom, and the like. This is intelligence, very lofty. But what is oil? Oil is before the intelligence. Oil is what produces the light. So it's higher than the light. So what really is the oil? The oil is the essence of the neshama, from where all inspiration comes from where the intelligence of the neshama comes from where the emotions of the neshama come from, the core very self. And what's the self of the neshama? The substance of the soul, which is a piece of God. The neshama is the Eibush there. So what are we at our deepest core, essential core? We are Him. We are literally God. We are a piece of God, and a piece of God is Him. That means each and every one of us is Hashem expressing Himself in this world through us. That is very hidden. To be able, who experiences themselves that way? What do we have? What do we feel from our spiritual selves usually? If we try hard, we can tap the motorizing force of our neshama that gets us to do mitzvahs. We feel the neshama pushing us to do mitzvahs. Sometimes we feel the guilt of our neshama that makes us feel guilty when we don't do mitzvahs. If we dig deeper and we work harder, we can connect our emotions of our neshama. We feel our soul's excitement. When you look harder and you seek deeper, then you're not just happy with emotions. You want to experience more of your neshama. So what do? You learn Chassidus. I'm sure there's a lot of people on this call today who searched a lot to find Chassidus. It's not so available, meaning it's available, but those that are lucky that are born in homes where Chassidus is always available, that's great. But myself, I had to search, and there's so many people over here that are searching, and finally you find this treasure, and you go, wow. And it's such enrichment because it brings such enormous illumination, light. But that's still ideas, that's light. But there's something deeper than light, and that is the shemen, the oil, the substance, the essence. That's very private, that's concealed, that's not felt inside of us. And that was the miracle of Chanukah, that the essence, the oil, was discovered, that the very deepest core of who they are, at their deepest, innermost essence, came to the surface. And why did they find the oil to light the menorah? Because that's what the Yidden did with their Mesiras Nefesh. When the Jewish people at that time were faced with the biggest opposition, with the greatest darkness of, similar to what we felt after October 7th, but to imagine that going on for years of brutal suffering, of brutal oppression, and the Yidden had no more energy to fight back. There was no more hope. There was no more inspiration. There was no more teachers to teach anymore. There was no more to learn, because the Greeks messed with the Jewish mind. So the Torah itself became contaminated. So when we were learning Torah, it was inserted with Greek ideas. So there was nothing left. There was no fuel left. So most people just threw in the towel. They were done. They would just live sitting there hopeless, like many people feel now. hopeless. Eibishter, Mashiach didn't come yet. We thought COVID, Mashiach. This Mashiach. Now it's already 2 months after this. Mashiach is there, and I give up. I just don't have any energy anymore. I don't have any fuel anymore. Yet, somehow, a group of people, led by Matisyahu and Gadol, kind of threw themselves in with the Mesiras Nefesh. What does that mean? What are you working with? What's driving you? There's nothing there. There's only one thing left, is your essence. So it was their essence, the fact that they are a piece of Hashem. So in that case, I cannot live non-godly. That's what they pulled out. That was their Mesiras Nefesh. So therefore it materialized in the miracle, reflected it, that they found that hidden oil that was impossible to find, and it was revealed. But that's one part of the miracle. That's the first night of Chanukah. What's special about the 8th night of Chanukah? Special about the 8th night of Chanukah is that essence was able to continue burning for 7 nights. Seven represents our ordinary human, regular, natural self. That's 7. All of our kaiches, our powers, our emotions, the 6, 7 emotions, all the way down to malchus. What do I mean by this? There are certain times in your life that you'll have in a moment of very deep awakening. You're shooken to the core. Something shakes you to the core. Let's say with a deep relative, with a close relative, something happens, God forbid, and one's child is in a sakana, in a danger, and suddenly you run and you grab the child, child ran across the street, and the mother jumps and grabs the child in the last second and saves their child. Wow. This fanatical rush of adrenaline, this essential, powerful bond with your child, it's so manifested, it so came out. But then, days go by and you're back to diapering your baby and doing all the stuff and doing homework with them in school and this and that. Do you feel in every moment of your relationship with your child, do you feel that essence? Do you feel that your child is you and you're in your child? No, because essence remains private. The essence goes back to sleep. It's a moment of essence, but then it goes away. There's a whole other, the whole magnificence is if this essence can become the regular everyday living, where everything you're doing and everything you're saying and everything that you're experiencing is expressing your essence. So that's what was so powerful about Chanukah. The first day was that they discovered their oil. The next 7 days was that they were able to bring that down, and especially the 8th day of Chanukah. What's the 8th day of Chanukah? The 8th day is the last of the 7. So what is that? That's Malchus. Malchus means expression and primarily verbalization, articulation, communication, which means that the essence became so saturated them so much that they actually were able to verbalize it and express it in every conversation. They were able to reveal their essence. What's their essence? Their essence is that they are Jewish and they're godly, and their entire, and my business in this world, my reality in this world is that I am a chelik l'kaim imal mamish. I'm here to reveal Hashem. That's my entire existence. For him I live, for him I die, for him I breathe, for him I dance, for him I sing, for him I wake up in the morning, for him I eat lunch, for him I do everything I do. I'm doing in my, not just for him, I am him, expressing myself in God, in this physical world. This is the power. And that's why Zeus is Malchus. In mystically, Zeus Chanukah is so what's really the whole concept of tonight, of the last day of Chanukah? Zeus Chanukah. That the essence of our souls, what really is who we are at our deepest core, can fully reveal itself. Our deepest identity, our holy godly identity, can make its way out to be able to be something that we express proudly, we speak it, we reveal it. We're not trying to pretend we're someone else other than what we really are. That's the secret of Zeus Chanukah. With that, we understand the amazing connection of this to Moshiach. Because this idea of essence revealed is really something that is only going to happen in the days of Moshiach. Because as we know, in Chassidus it explains that there are various different levels of neshama, both individually and cosmically. In other words, Hashem reveals various different levels of himself to the world in different stages. In the earliest stages of history, Hashem reveals a lower level of himself. As history continues and we move closer and closer to the end, to the final grand finale of time, deeper aspects of God, deeper aspects of Hashem are revealed in the world. Eventually, when Moshiach comes, Hashem is going to have a home in this world. What does a home mean? A home is when you exist, when you reveal yourself as you truly are in your full essence. That's what a home is. A home is where you relax, where you can completely let go of all pretenses, the place where you can say, I am. That's your home. That means that until the days of Moshiach, what was revealed in the world in earlier generations were divine ideas, godly philosophies, godly teachings, godly inspiration. And this was revealed by Matan Torah, by Yetzias Mitzrayim, through the various moments and times in history. Other aspects, features of Hashem were revealed. But God never really fully manifested and revealed his essence in the world. Matan Torah, the moment of Anochi, there was a second of that, but it wasn't permanent. When Mashiach will come, Hashem's essence will be revealed in the world. And what is that going to do to us? What that's going to do is that's going to reveal the essence of everything, because Hashem is the essence of everything. So what's it going to do to each and every one of us? Our, what we call in Chassidus, our Yechidah Shebenefesh, our deepest truth of who we are, is going to manifest in our consciousness. And we are going to feel ourselves as being Hashem in this world. And therefore, we are going to live 24 hours as an expression of holiness and godliness. There isn't going to be any more pettiness, any more silliness, any more distraction, any more chasing after all the narishkeit and meaningless things, because our very identity is going to emerge and permanently in our body. That's Mashiach. And until Mashiach comes, we don't have access to Yechidah. Because Mashiach, in general, because throughout history, there are various different tzaddikim that each one manifest another level of godliness. Moshe Rabbeinu, for instance, was Hashem's mind. That's why Moshe Rabbeinu revealed the level of neshama. He was Hashem's mind. Eliyahu Hanavi was Hashem's spirit. That's why Eliyahu Hanavi activates and enables emotions, serving Hashem with holy emotions. And David HaMelech was the level of nefesh. I'm not going through and explaining all these things. Moshiach Tzidkenu is Yechidah. So when Moshiach comes, he is the quintessence of the Jewish soul. He represents, in his consciousness, is the essence of God, as he is one with the essence of the soul of Mashiach. But on that level, Mashiach operates. Hashem's essence is revealed inside of him. And he unplugs the essence in each and every one of us. And he enables us to live that essence. That's why Chanukah, in which we have a little taste of it, is a little taste of Mashiach. That's why Chanukah is the only yontiv of 8 days, because 8 is the number of Mashiach. When Mashiach comes, there's going to be 8 notes of music, 8 strands on the kinar of the Beis Hamikdash. It says Mashiach is one of 8 tzaddikim. I'm not going to get into that, but Mashiach is the number 8. That's his power. The power that. And Chanukah is number 8, because Chanukah is a glimmer of shemen, of oil, of the deepest essence revealed. Now watch something absolutely spectacular. And that is, we're watching the world right now, where the world is struggling with a new phenomenon that we've never seen before. The world is struggling with essence. People are trying to figure out who they are, which we've never had that before. In other words, all the klippas that we had until now, there's always a fight. Zelu umazeh asalakim, Kedusha versus klippa. All the klippas we've had till now. So for instance, when Torah came to the world, which is divine wisdom, and especially in the time of the second Beis Hamikdash, when we were really developing the Torah Shebal Peh, what happened during that time, when we were activating the Torah during the time of Torah Shebal Peh? The Greeks introduced impure philosophies. They introduced klippa, ideas, concepts that were coming from the side of darkness. And the struggle was, are you going to follow the wisdom of Torah, or are you going to follow Greek mythology, Greek wisdom, Greek ideas? And that was the battle of holy and the unholy. The Baal Shem Tov came in the world, and the Baal Shem Tov started teaching us how to serve God with love, with fire and love and enthusiasm. So what happened in the world? At that very same time, cinema comes onto the scene, and people are caught up with powerful experiences of romance and movies, and there wasn't movies yet, but played all these stuff kind of. You see that the unholy world is matching and reflecting wherever holiness is then meant to do. Whenever you're meant to do your avodah at that particular time, that's where the klipa kind of emerges. We've never seen the klipa emerge on the level of identity. That's a new mishigas. Who's ever thought, you tell your grandmother 100 years ago, there would be a question of who's a boy and who's a girl, who's a man and who's a woman, if I'm a tomato or a rabbit or a monkey and yet today's days, that's what young people are struggling with. They're struggling with identity. Who am I? I don't know who I am. I'm confused. Why is that? Because we are right now at the cusp of the Geula of Yechida, of the true identity of Hashem that's going to be revealed in the world through Moshiach Tzidkenu. And as a result of that, the klipa that kind of blurs the world moments before that is a question of identity. That's the question. So now let's take a look for a moment. What is the avodah right now? The avodah is not philosophy. The avodah is not necessarily holy emotions. The avodah today is that we unblock the truth of who we are and that we're able to state proudly who we are. That we can say this to ourselves and we can say this to the entire world. Me, who I am a Jew. I am a Jew. That's my essence. A Jew is a piece of God. I am here, and my entire existence is to express godliness into this world, because this is my essence. This is our avodah these days. So watch an amazing thing, what the Eibishter has done. The Eibishter has made, for instance, in Eretz Yisroel right now, that Israel has no choice right now but to step up onto the world stage and to reveal their essence loud and clear for the entire world to hear. What do I mean by that? Israel has been pretending to be a secular government, a secular country. And what's its rights to the land? Obviously, the land of Israel is being contested. There's no real estate in the world that is so contested. We, the Jewish people, claim it's ours. Palestinians say it's theirs. And they have the ear and the sympathy of millions of people across the world. And it's a big problem. Two things are a problem. Their murderous terrorism, and the support that they get. So now the question becomes, so what has been our argument till now? Like, why is Israel ours to the world? Israel has to answer itself to the world. Why is Israel ours? So we were hacking in Chinik. We were doing Bubba-Mises. What were the Bubba-Mises? Number one, we were saying it's because the UN Security Council, the UN voted in 1948 for this partition of the land. True, Jews lived there a long time ago. Arabs lived there together. Let's divide the land. Fine. Another part of the argument is it's our ancestral land. Jews have been living here. So therefore we have the land. So these are the arguments. Now, the question is, how strong are these arguments? The Arabs are arguing against it. Okay, so there's a back and forth. But until this moment, Jews didn't really have to face the ultimate truth. Why? Because Israel convinced themselves that we can still live side by side with the Arabs. As peace-loving people, Jews are peace-loving people. So you know what? We'll live peacefully. We'll have our part of the land. Arabs will have their part of the land. And we kind of, when I say we, I don't mean religious observant people, because we knew the Emes that Eretz Yisroel belongs to Yidden because the Eibishter gave it to us, because God gave it to us. But that's not the argument that Israel was able to make on the world stage. So what was Israel thinking? You know what? It's a big problem. What do? Let's try to figure it out. Let's try to live with the Palestinians. So we're going to make some kind of, if we make them happy, if we increase them financially, if we help them out, they're kind of going to be able to leave us alone. We're going to live b'menucha. Came October 7th, and October 7th kind of knocked the whole thing out, that no one in Israel believes anymore that we can live side by side in peace with the Arabs. We can't do it. Why? Because they're all murderers. You know that they literally, we saw clearly, till now they said they were going to do it, but they didn't do it in a way now we actually saw that they mean business. They literally, from the river to the sea, they're claiming this land and they don't want to see one Jew alive. And they showed it to us in the most atrocious manner. So Israel knows that what? that to claim that tomorrow we're going to live side by side with the Arabs, you can't do this. But now you have a problem. Because now you're going to have to take Gaza. You're going to have to take, and obviously take full control over Yehuda and Shomron, which of course is our land. But what are we going to say? What do we do with the Arabs? There's 2 million Arabs there. What are we going to do? We're going to have to say to them, listen, brother, this is our land, right? This is our land. You can leave if you like. If you want to stay over here, you can live over here, but you have to behave. One tiny bit of misbehavior and you're done. You're finished. Now, the question is, by what legitimacy can Israel do that? By what legitimacy? Let's think what's going on in Netanyahu's head right now. What is he going to say the day after the war is over? Hamas is obliterated. What is he going to say? Why do we belong over here? The argument about the UN is such a weak argument because Israel has been in violation of the UN so many times. What kind of argument based on the UN? The idea that it's our ancestral land doesn't either hold too much water. Why? Because are we going to give back the United States to the Native Americans who lived over here? As every single group that once lived 3,000 years ago, someone who lived 3,000 years ago in Norway is going to push the Norwegians away and say that we lived over here? Also doesn't work. So what's our claim? What's our claim? You only have one claim. There's only one only claim. You have to embrace your identity. You have to stand up in front of the world and say the full Emes. We are Jews. We are the people of the Bible. We go back 3,500 years ago, 4,000 years ago. Our great-grandfather Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov received an explicit promise from God that this land is our land, and that's our land, our right to this land. That's why Eretz Yisroel is ours. And therefore, not an inch is going to anybody else because this is God's gift to the Jewish people. And guess what? That's the only argument that will work. Why? Because who can fight that? Who can argue against that? A few atheists. But other than that, if you deny what it says in Genesis, what it says in Bereshis, think about it. You can close every mosque in the world and you can close every church in the world. That means most of humanity believes in the Bible. The only thing you can say is to have to say the full Emes. You have to say you are Jewish. But why doesn't Israel see? But until now, they avoided saying that. Let's understand. Why were they avoiding saying? The Rebbe was saying that we have to say it. Why were we avoiding it? We were avoiding it for 2 reasons. Reason number 1 is that we don't want to sound like a religious fanatic like the Arabs. If we get up there with a religious book, then you're just fanatical. We try to pretend that we are sophisticated people. We believe in science. What it says in Bible, we don't know. We don't have proof that it's true. We're not so sure. So Israel tries to pretend itself to be some kind of sophisticated modern society, not based on hiding the Emes. They're uncomfortable to come across as being the fanatical people. Number two, if you are a godly people, so where is your tzitzis? Where's your tefillin? Where is your kosher? Where is Shabbos? If your right to the land is because the Torah gave you the land, so live a Torah life. So then you feel like a hypocrite. So therefore you can't do it for 2 reasons. You feel like a fanatic, and you feel like you're a hypocrite. Yet what's the sad but beautiful moment we're standing right now is that literally Israel has no choice. Why? Biden is sending now people to try to force a 2-state solution. Just today, he sent this guy in Sullivan, I don't know what the guy's name over there is, to try to force a 2-state. Netanyahu and the Israeli cabinet knows so Israel has 2 choices. Either there is no Palestinian state and they're in the land, okay, but then they'll have to claim the truth of why this land is theirs, because that's the only argument that will work. Or the few million Yidden who live in Eretz Yisroel will pack their bags and move to San Francisco, to Los Angeles. There's so many Israelis here anyways, but another few million of them over here. They can't stay there anymore. So the Eibishter put our backs against the wall now, forcing us to have to say the Emes. And what's the Emes? Just say who you are. Just tell the world the truth, who you are. Why is this so important? Because this is not, if I'm complaining and I want Netanyahu just to say the truth, I have to ask myself regarding me. And each and every one of us has to ask ourselves regarding ourselves. Am I willing in regarding my own life to say the truth about myself? Or am I still pretending as if God, the Eibishter, is not the reality of my life? I have There's a piece of me. There's a piece of my body is like Eretz Yisroel. There's a piece of me on Sundays and Mondays and Tuesdays. I'm going to try to be godly, but on Tuesday, on Wednesday, Thursday, nishtazoi. Part of me is run by the Palestinian Authority. Part of me is governed by the Nefesh Bahamas, by something else. I can't do that anymore. Just like Eretz, I have to say the full Emes. I have to say the full truth of who I really am. I am a godly being who's here to live a godly life. There's no more monkey business. Now it leads us to the final point of why we got together here tonight, and for this women who gathered together, because just like there is the Yechidah in each and every one of us that is now being forced into revelation, there is the Yechidah HaKlalis. That's Moshiach Tzedkenu himself, who is the Yechidah of all Yechidas. And can you imagine if there is a block on Moshiach? And so what does that mean? The identity of Moshiach, which means in simple words, who is Moshiach? That means that there is Moshiach. Moshiach, you can say it spiritually. Moshiach is the energy to reveal our identity and uncover it. But then there is Moshiach Tzedkenu himself. And he used to his identity of who is he. So the Rebbe told us in 1991 and in 1992 that Moshiach is already here. And that the Eibishter was Mamana already, Moshiach Tzedkenu. The Rebbe says in Parshas Mishpatim, Tashin and Aleph, the Minui von David Malka Mashiach is doch schon gewen. The Eibishter appointed already David Malka Mashiach. Mashiach is already here. And then in Parshas Vayera, Tashin and Beis, the Rebbe tells us that being that we finished already the entire Avodah. And the Nasi Dareinu told us that everything was done already. Therefore, we're holding already now at a time where not only is there the existence of Mashiach as a potential Mashiach, but there is the actualization of Mashiach. And he's already revealed in the world. And he's already here. And the next Shabbos, in Parshas Chayei Sarah, the Rebbe goes ahead and tells that the Shluchim, and the Rebbe says that the Nasi Hadar, who is the only Mashiach of the generation, and it's clear without a question who the Rebbe is referring to. And the Rebbe is saying the Shluchim have to go out and teach the entire world about the Mashiach, that everybody should be ready to be Makabel Pnei Mashiach Tzedkenu. And so the Rebbe goes on week after week after week, saying Mashiach is here already, Yidden wake up. Now, so what happens? Because the Nisayan of our generation is the cover-up of identity, to conceal the essence, becomes the biggest nisayan is to conceal that essence of Moshiach Tzedkenu himself. So the Eibishter throws us on a spin with Gimel Tammuz, with darknesses, with confusions, and we're uncomfortable. And we run into the same problem that the Israeli government is running. If we say the Emes that Lubavitch needs to say, that Chassidim need to say, we know the Emes, we know the truth, we're going to sound like fanatics. So we're uncomfortable. Secondly, we're uncomfortable. If Mashiach is here already, then we're a little embarrassed with our own behavior. If Mashiach is really here already, and the Eibishter is already manifesting, and the spark of Mashiach is revealed inside of me, how come I'm not living the godly life I should be living? And that's the reason why we're beating behind the bush. We're uncomfortable, we're running away from it, we're scared. Today, tonight, we say no more fear. No more concealments. No more. We have to tell the truth. We have to say the Emes of the Emes of what Lubavitch is, the Emes of what the Rebbe is, the Emes of our truth of who we are, the Emes of what a Yid is. All this Emes has to be verbalized and it has to be articulated. And the ones who have the achrayus and the possibility and the energy to do it most are the malchus of the world. Who is the malchus? The communicators. Who are the communicators? The women. So the women in our generation are malchus shebekeser. They need to reveal the essence. They need to reveal the identity. Malchus shebekeser, to give expression, verbalization. Yes, say the words that everybody's so dreading to say. Everybody's so uncomfortable. Israel has to say the same thing. They're even more uncomfortable. They have to say something that seems like, it's almost like till now everybody bowed down to the getchka of a two-state solution. They have to stand there and not bat an eye and say with the full starkheit and emes, we are Yidden. We're the Eibishter's people. This is our land. Oy vay gewalt, you sound like such a fanatic. But that's the truth. How long are we going to hide from the truth? We as Lubavitchers and as Chassidim and anybody that learns Chassidus and has to say the emes already. There's no more. What's the option? There's no more option anymore. We can't live in darkness anymore. 30 years ago, the Rebbe already revealed that Moshiach is already sitting by the table. He's here already. He's waiting for a Kabbalah's panim. So it's our avodah to do this avodah. Women are malchus. Women are zois Chanukah. Tonight we take that power. Let's all take that power to make this happen, to teach the world, to just say the Emes. Stop being uncomfortable with the Emes. This is ultimately it liberates us. So the person thinks you're crazy, until you study with them. You learn a little bit. You explain 2 minutes. You learn a little Hasidus and you explain these concepts. Say, oh, wow, of course. What else is it? It's our achrayas. So let's do it. Let's do it now. Proudly, strongly, realize that there's so much energy tonight. There's so much power. We can finally break through that last bit of klippa that's blocking just a thin little membrane. We can break it open, speak proudly and strongly the full emes of truth, and be makabel upon ourselves the malchus of Moshiach Tzidkenu with strength, with power, fully experiencing and fully revealing Yechi HaMelech as it expresses itself in its full energy through each and every one of us, not just in our verbalization, not only with statements or a slogan, but actually living it with a pneumistic and with an emeskite, with simcha and with bitachon. And in any second, the lights of Chanukah and the lights of Mashiach Tzidkenu are going to blow the darkness away. And inherently, the entire world will become godly in a moment. The essence of essence will reveal itself in everything, and we will experience the Geulah mitzvah shlema. May it be now. L'chaim alabracha.